How's it going, guys? I'm here today with a review for Weezer's White Album. Now, if you're one of my big fans, which there's probably a lot of you, I have a fairly large following. If you're one of those people, then you probably know me for my poorly made videos that I've done in the past. And that's not to say that this isn't poorly made, but I did put some thought into this. What those past videos were kind of just an experiment to see how many views I could get off of a good thumbnail for a bad video. The answer is not a lot, but that's besides the point. I'm turning over a new chapter in this channel's legacy, and I'm starting reviews. And today, it's the second day of summer. I'm feeling summery. We're going to review Weezer's White Album. It's 2 years too late maybe, but with the Black Album hopefully around the corner, I think it's a good time to look at this thing in retrospect. So Weezer's White Album came out in 2016, 2 years after Everything Will Be Alright in the End, which was basically a big apology letter for being so mediocre throughout the 2000s and for falling into this pit of sort of bland pop rock. But with Everything Will Be Alright in the End, they sort of made this call to return to form. And with 2016's The White Album, I'd say they uphold that mentality. And they really had no choice to uphold that mentality because, I mean, how hypocritical would it be if they said something like, "Oh, I forgot that disco sucks," and then they go on to make some sort of crappy pop album? It wouldn't be right. Alright, so with opening remarks out of the way, I'm gonna go track by track with this album, just for fun. I'm gonna rate each song, and then I'm gonna average up the ratings, and see if that output matches up with the number I have in my head right now. And in the bottom right corner is my rating system for your entertainment. And yeah, that's it. I'm just going to start with California Kids. California Kids is a nearly perfect opener for this album, as it really sets the mood and gives you a good look at what you're going to get with this album. And that's a classic Weezer sound with a hint and sometimes a big dose of the Beach Boys. And in the case of this song, you get a hint of the Beach Boys with these backing vocals on the chorus and kind of just the subject matter itself, talking about this sort of Californian mentality. The instrumentation on this is also classic Weezer with the crunchy guitars and the tight drumming from Pat Wilson. The final chorus on this thing is one of the most energetic and best moments on the album for me. And overall, it's just a solid song. I'm giving it a 9. Great song. Moving on. So California Kids transitions seamlessly into Wind in Our Sail. I just want to mention that transition. It's great. And so Wind in Our Sail comes in with these chimey pianos. You don't really hear a lot of piano in Weezer's music, but it works well here. It's integrated well into their bass sound, which comes in with the chorus with these classic guitars. And overall, it's a solid song. It's got a good melody. Not really much to say. It's got a good bridge, and the lyrics are kind of lackluster. You get a trip back to biology with Darwin on his beagle and Mendel's pea experiment. So off the wall lyrics, but still an overall good song. I give it a 7. Alright, so Thank God for Girls. I think this song scared a lot of people when it came out. I think people took it as an indicator that the White Album wasn't going to be as good as it was. And I don't see why. I think in this case, Weezer took a risk that worked out for them. This was a calculated risk in that it still sounds very much like them, but it's still something very different in the way that Rivers is kind of rapping his lyrics. And honestly, I like it. It works well. I mean, I like the rapping aspect of the delivery of the lyrics, but the lyrics themselves, some people love them for how ridiculous they are, and some people hate them for how ridiculous they are. I sort of walk the line, and I like some of the verses, I dislike some of them, so kind of middle of the road there. But the instrumentation on this is good, some tight drumming, powerful guitars on the chorus, as I've said with the past 2 songs. And what else? Oh, the pianos on this one. Again, the pianos add a lot to this and like the quieter parts of the song. Overall, I think it's not nearly as bad as people say it is. I actually think it's good. I gave it a 7. So when I mentioned that there were heavy doses of Beach Boys on this album, here it is. Girl, We Got a Good Thing. This song screams Beach Boys from the vocal delivery to the the sleigh bells in the background to the subject matter itself once again. It all is just very Beach Boys-esque. Some would go as far as to say it's a parody. I wouldn't go that far. I just say it's heavily influenced. But with all of that aside, it's still a very good song. It's very light and upbeat, especially the chorus. It's all very feel good. It's just a simple love song, and that simplicity sort of runs thin near the end of the song. But just as I think it's getting a little boring, the song just pulls the carpet out from under you and just goes into this little dark place for a second on the bridge. This bridge is excellent, probably the second best on the album. You're going to hear bridge a lot for the next few songs because they just keep coming, and this is one of the good ones. And it's followed by another excellent guitar solo that just pulls you back out into the feel good aspect of the song. And overall, once again, another 7. Good. So, Do You Want to Get High is definitely my favorite song on the album. It is very, very Pinkerton-esque. Everything from the chord progression, which sounds very much like Pink Triangle, to the subtle synth that you can hear in the background, which sounds very much like the one from Tired of Sex. It all just kind of culminates to create this dark atmosphere for a song that's really just about getting high with this girl, the drugs really just being a medium to be around her. The vocals on this one are excellent. Early on, Rivers' vocal delivery sort of have a growl to them, and in the end, they sort of climax into this whine near the outro. And also in the outro, and in other parts of the song, the backing vocals on this thing are great from, I'm assuming, from Pat, Scott, and Brian. It's all very well done. And then the best part of this song, the bridge. Oh my days, the bridge on this song is by far, well, maybe not by far, but it's definitely the best bridge on this song. And then it transitions into the best guitar solo on this album. It's absolutely mind-melting. Excellent song, gets the most excellent rating, a 10 out of 10. Now, where Do You Want to Get High was darker with a light subject matter, King of the World is more lighthearted in its instrumentation, but darker with its lyrics. Basically, the song is about Rivers Cuomo's girlfriend and how, she sort of had a rough childhood, and she still is having a rough life. And if it was up to him, if he had the power or maybe the money, he would make sure that his girlfriend didn't have to experience any of that. And I do like the message of this song and the story it's trying to tell. But other than that, this is probably my least favorite song on the album. That's probably sort of a hot take. I know most people like it. But I do think the instrumentation on this is not innately bad, but just more well done on the rest of the album. And the chorus, I don't think is anything special. Once again, by no means bad. I just think there's much more nuance in the rest of the album. I think the chorus is a little bland, especially when it's followed by very simple vocal filler, which you could find on any dime a dozen song. But still, like I said, not a bad song, just my least favorite. I give it a 6. Summer Lane and Drunk Dory is another solid song on this record. It has these guitars that get into a good groove that the entire song sort of coasts on. I think Rivers did a good job with the lyrics here. Basically, the song is about reminiscing on old friends and maybe regretting what you never got to say. And that's all very well done. And then the chorus is also good. Very simple but effective. Very explosive, similar to California Kids in its explosiveness. And then, once again, the best part of this song is the bridge. This bridge sees Rivers and the rest of the band put on this emotional performance. And then it transitions into, yes, another guitar solo. The bridges followed by guitar solos on this album are some of the best highlights, and that is once again shown here. A solid song, I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. Okay, so I might have lied when I said that Do You Want to Get High is my favorite song on this album. And, I'm going to say it ties for my favorite song on this album because LA Girls is just as excellent. The song harkens back to the Blue album with its power chords and its gorgeous melody. This is probably Rivers' best vocal performance on the album. The lyrics are interesting and nuanced and varied. They're kind of weird, not in the thank God for girls type of way, just interesting. And it's a pleasure to listen to. And the bridge on this thing, once again, excellent, beautiful in its delivery. And then it goes into another great guitar solo. Just like Do You Want to Get High, I think that this is one of Weezer's best songs since Pinkerton. I'm going to stand by that. I'm giving LA Girls with a Z a 10. Jacked Up probably deviates the furthest from the rest of the album in terms of sound. It's certainly not rock, it's more piano pop with emphasis on the piano because pianos return once again on this album, and this time they carry the song with this excellent tropical riff. And I enjoy it. I'm fine with Weezer doing pop if it sounds like this. It's slightly more original than what they did on Pacific Daydream, certainly. And on the chorus, we see Rivers hitting a falsetto. And some people might say that his voice sounds a little strained and he's really not hitting it. But I say he does. I enjoy it. And I think overall, Jacked Up is a solid pop song. I give it an 8. So it's kind of subtle, but throughout the album, there is this thematic shift where in the first half, Rivers is mainly just talking about summer love, but near the second half, Strung with King of the World, you see this subtle shift in that he's now talking about heartbreak. So it kind of makes sense that the album ends on this more somber note. It seems that summer love has grown sour for Rivers, and he's now pleading for the summer to finally end on a lovely acoustic ballad here. Rivers and company once again show themselves to be very well versed in terms of vocal harmonization. It sounds really great here, and one of the best parts of the song is the final crescendo into another guitar solo that ends on the same crashing waves and sounds of seagulls that the album starts on. So overall, I think it's a great closer. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. So when you add up all these track ratings and divide by 10, which is what an average is, you get an average score of an 8 out of 10. Now, do I agree with that? No, I had a slightly higher number in my head. I had an 8.5 out of 10 in my head, which is what I'm going to give the album, and I'll tell you why. You see, by just rating the tracks individually, it doesn't take into account the fact that, in this case, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. And that stands true here because this is an album that is truly consistent and it flows very well, sometimes having seamless transitions, as I mentioned earlier. And like I said, there is a thematic shift that you can really only experience by listening to the album from start to finish, which I do recommend. So for that reason, I'm going to award it the extra half point for good consistency both instrumentally and thematically. And keep in mind, there's probably a slight bias injected into that rating, only because this is the first album that I truly listened to start to finish from Weezer. And it really turned me from like a normie who only listened to like Beverly Hills and Buddy Holly to someone who truly wanted to experience Weezer's music as I visited Blue, Pinkerton, and all their albums fully. And with that out of the way, I tried to remove that bias and look at this critically, but I just thought I should mention that. And with that mentioned, that concludes this review. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I apologize for what is probably very poor audio quality and for whatever crappy editing I put this through. And if you have any suggestions for what I should review in the future, I'm very open to new music and revisiting old stuff. So don't be afraid to comment. If you're one of the probably like 10 people that sees this over the span of many years, yeah, that about does it.